Well, I'm moving along here on Dodge. I moved this bed around the other day. It was bolted there, you can see, and it was not parallel. So I cut my weld off to here down at the bottom and put the back of the bed on the inside of the sidewall, and I got this pretty much all straight, and that allowed me to get a straight bed across here. I've got the tailgate in now, and it's all good. I don't know how well you can see here, but I put rust converter on it. This is all looking pretty good. I actually got it real straight here. Kind of surprised myself. But now I need to, I've got a kind of a funky bracket right here for the fender. I want to do something different there. I think I probably ought to bolt it onto this bottom piece of the bed. I'm pretty sure I got a flange in there, I don't know. But I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. I don't really like this top bracket in here, this one here, because it's almost impossible to get a nut on it. I may cut that off of there, and I've got a piece of rebar in there going side to side right now, which is sort of holding it. The bed is pretty strong. I don't really think I need that top bracket on either side. I'm not sure about that. I'm going to cut it off and see what I can do about making this whole thing right. And down here I've got about 3-4 inches across the bottom of this bed. I mean, what should go in there would be another piece of angle iron or something to tie that whole bottom together, and just cover that hole. Haven't really don't have any steel that's big enough to do that right now. I've got a piece of 1-inch pipe there, and I've probably got enough angle to build a pipe and a couple angles in there. That might look all right. Not sure. Ran out of sheet metal as far as flat stuff goes, so I don't really have a flat piece that would go all the way across there. Maybe I'll just wait on that and get a piece of angle iron. But the main thing here is this fender. I need to put it back on with the bolt holes and brackets and stuff I've got. And I also have a little piece of angle down here that I bent, a little flat bar, and made a brace for the bottom of this bed to keep it from flexing around. And I got to take all that rubber off there. Basically hammer and chisel gets that off. I've got a lot of it on here. I did order some more rubber, And I did clean up the other side over there on this frame, and I've got enough sheet metal here to make the I don't know if you call them fender skirts, or anyway a plate to hide that whole frame in there. So I got a bit of work to do on that. I think the first thing I'll do is go ahead and finish up this running board end here and get that done and welded, and weld up this bed and fix that gap I've got there. I put a couple 1/2-inch plates in there and just weld that whole thing together. I don't know why they had put it where they could bolt it together, but that's where it goes, and it needs to be welded. So these two things here I'll work on today, this bottom piece and getting this bed fixed up and all that old weld ground off there. It's mostly on this side. I think my grinder will reach in there. We'll see. Anyway, I'll drag my welder over here and get to fabricating on this. Yeah, I got a little 1/2-inch piece bent there, and I've got it clamped in. I'm going to tack it, and on both sides it's going back into about here somewhere, so it'll go into that angle iron, and that'll be good for that. And the curve is not perfect, but I may move it out a little bit just to close this gap up, so I don't have to kink it as much, and then I'll weld that in. Alright, that's welded in good. It's all the way into the bracket weld, and pretty nice smooth weld around here. I can touch that up a little bit with a buffing wheel, but it's plenty strong. Nothing's gonna be moving here. Oh yeah, I can't even wiggle this at all. So that's all good. Next thing is to try to figure out some way of getting this gap filled. First thing I did was weld the inside edge of this bed. It's kind of hard to get it because it's couldn't get all the paint off and it splattered, but I was able to tack it, and then I went back and kind of cleaned the welds up a little bit. Looks like I can probably clean that top one up a little bit more. It didn't do too good a job, but hard to weld upside down there. Anyway, that's good for that side, and I can clean this edge up. That looks bad right now, but I have to knock some of this loose paint off and some of that old weld, and it'll look a little better. We'll give that a go and see what I can get there. Well, I got it cleaned up quite a bit. What I could, grinded, and with the Sawzall I was able to get some of that inside edge off. So I'm going to try now with a welder and I'm going to try to just make little side to side beads here, stack them well from the bottom up. Hopefully I can get a pretty nice bead in there. It just looks good. That's the only thing I care about. It's welded in solid already from the back, but I'm just trying to clean up this raggedy looking edge. The cab is too close to the bed here. I can't really grind off some of this stuff. I think I'll put a new disc on my cutoff tool. I don't think that one will fit, but I'll put a new one on. I can probably get a little bit more of this off of the outside. I'll try that. Not the best, but it's acceptable for a rat rod weld. Nothing real big sticking out. Looks a lot better than it did. I could probably get in there with something and clean it up a little. And now I can move on to working on this top, then that the bottom is all solid. I'll just try putting some pieces in to start with and see what I can get mocked up. Well, I cut me some little 1/2 inch pieces and extended this little bed side, tacked them in. It's really strong, and I got 3 1/8 pieces in there. I'm gonna weld that up and I was going to use a little round bar on where the hole is. I don't see one laying here. There's one. I'm just going to cut a little piece like that to fit on there, and weld that up. That'll cover it, and it's also it'll cover the other side, so both of the bed corners will look symmetrical. So this is took a little doing, but it's in, and I can weld it up and grind it off, and I can make it look pretty good here on this side. But the main thing is that it fixed that bed that was too short there and made it super solid. I can't wiggle it at all. I don't know how much good it did back here. Wow, it's even good back here. So it looks like just, fixing that one thing made a difference. I got to tell you guys a funny story. I had a Corvette, and long story short, I wrecked it, and it took me like 3 or 4 years to get all the parts to put the thing back together. I had one good fender on it. Anyway, I buy a piece and put a piece on, and buy another fender and put a piece and put this and put that, and the whole time the whole car was just floppy, and I like to never found a little piece from the back of the wheel to the door. I finally found a piece, and I was just so disappointed in that thing. The whole car would wiggle when I would sit on it or lean on it. I fiberglassed that last piece in, and the car was solid as a rock. So I guess it's kind of the same thing here. You know, as long as it had some wiggle somewhere, everything flexed. And welding this up made the whole bed solid. Here's my piece in and welded. Looks pretty good. This down in here looks terrible. I need to do something about that. I think maybe I'll just fill that with Bondo. Just to fill the hole. I could weld it, but it's sure a waste of rod. But it's pretty good and flat across here. It's flat across the back. Welded solid. I'll clean this up with a flapper wheel, and it'll make it look real nice. That I had a lot of trouble trying to weld up in that hole there. Couldn't get my rod to go towards the top, and maybe I ought to put a flat piece on there instead of trying to Bondo it up. I don't want to weld something in it. It'll shrink my stake pocket, but that'd be the better deal, is to just weld a little piece of sheet metal in there. That's what I'll do. Well, there's that. Didn't take as long as Bondo, and it's actually pretty good. Looks like I got a couple cracks in it where I didn't penetrate. I may just put a couple more little tacks there, and I've got a vertical one right here. It's kind of hot right now. I'll let it cool off, but that looks better than that big hole did, and it's pretty much all smoothed off. Don't look too bad. I just spotted that in a couple places. Good enough, and I'll have to grind it down again. My fender down here is good. I guess I'm gonna move on to mounting this rear fender. It's about half a day so far. Need to get something to eat. I'm going to redo this bracket. I don't like that. I'm going to bolt it into here. I think I'm going to do something with that rebar going across there. Not sure exactly what yet, but at least I can get my holes drilled and mounted, and I can finally finish up my Bondo. I haven't really checked to see how straight my bed is. Whatever it happens to be, that's what it is, because it's all welded up now. So press on. Well, part of my project started showing up. This is 23 Dodge. The guy brought the frame, and it rolls. And they had cut off this front here and welded on this Mustang front end, or some kind of front end. Didn't look like they've welded it real good or anything. So this needs to be cleaned up and re-welded. Mostly this front part here. Don't know what was It looks like where that square is some kind of a cross member that went across there. But all in all, the frame looks pretty good. These springs look a little weird. I'm not sure what kind of front end this is off of. And I'll need shocks. This one here, yeah, it's the same. They might need a lower spring perch. But I've got disc brakes. No calipers or anything, but that shouldn't be too much trouble. Some kind of a weird little racing rim. I've got a pretty good cross member here. The frame actually looks pretty good. It's got surface rust. Don't know what any of this is. I think this is probably part of the body mounts. Don't know what kind of rear end this is. He said he thought it was a Ford 8.8. Might be it's a Ford bolt pattern. But anyway, a lot of work here. It's got a set of coilovers, a whole bunch of stuff. I showed that in another video, but here's the frame showed up. My project start. Well, I got Mr. Fender on, and I cut all this bracket stuff out of here, and I marked my holes. I welded a little piece of bracket right in here, and if we can see if we can see up under there. What I'm showing you, if anything. Here we go. So I welded this little plate up in there, and that's going to give me a big mounting spot right there. I can put a big bolt in that, and this will make this fender flush with the bottom here. So that's all good. And I'm going to drill that middle mount up there for a bigger bolt, I think. It's kind of hard to get on. And I actually had to pull the fender down half an inch. But I got them both the same height now. It all looks good here. These bolts are better. I put a half inch instead of a 7/16 in the bottom. My running board fix turned out good. I just need to make that hole a little bigger, and it's kind of hard to get a bolt in it. But the fender's almost where it needs to be mounted. My gas is holding out real good now. So it's down to half. I've used about half a tank. Still using a lot of gas, but I've got it set at Whoa, jumped up to 20. I need to turn that down just a little. Anyway, moving on to Fender. Tomorrow I'll have it finished mounting, and I'll make my brackets for this, and this should be finished. The other one's mounted and holding on its own. I've got my little bracket that holds it in here. I don't have it in right now, but that'll stop this flex down here. But it's on and solid and mounted to where it's supposed to go. And I'm just going to mount it all real good, and then I'll unclamp my tailgate there, and I should be good to go. Anyway, tomorrow's another day. We'll try to get her done. Today was Saturday, so tomorrow Sunday I'll be able to put another good day in it.